Alright, so Vince McMahon is in active talks to buying back WWE with Saudi Arabia investors. As per reports, Vince McMahon planning to reacquire the WWE from TKO Group Holdings. Vince McMahon re-signed as WWE chairman following a civil lawsuit in January 2024. He also reported sold over $2 billion worth of TKO shares, reducing his stake in the company. And Saudi investors are now keen to fund him in buying WWE back on multi-billion-dollar expense. Vince McMahon plots making WWE a private company once again to gain majority control. Source: Sports Bash.
This might be a spicy take. What is your thoughts on this, Unstoppable?
I don't think he's gonna buy it back.
Do you think he should?
With everything that's going on with TKO, and you know how Vince, with the tickings and all that, ticket prices, which we talked about multiple times here on this podcast, I feel like Vince should buy it back to make the prices go down again.
Yeah, so, okay. We've been covering WWE for a good decade on your channels here. As I said, for those of you who are unaware, our first wrestling style series was way back when the brand split was happening and Raw had its own roster, SmackDown had its own roster, and NXT was getting like up onto the levels of Raw and SmackDown, and we started doing wrestling results and a whole bunch of stuff like that. That was our first series together.
Yeah, and we literally did it over the phone.
We did it with Immortal Spades and other guests too.
Yep.
But
which we're not going to name a couple of them.
Yeah. But anyways, so for those of you who have followed me and Unstoppable all those time, you will know I am not the biggest Vince McMahon fan in the world. In fact, he is one of the very few people in WWE that I despise. I cannot stand him as because I think his character is obviously he's a heel, so I'm giving him credit for this while also not really, but you guys know what I'm talking about anyway.
What are you talking about?
He's a heel, so I'm supposed to hate him.
Right.
That kind of thing. But anyways, I'm not really the biggest Vince McMahon fan in the world. That being said, you and me have talked about TKO fucking things up on this podcast for a good portion of the runtime of this podcast.
Yep, since September.
And that was since last September.
Yep, that's when we first started this podcast.
Yeah. So I know a lot more about the behind-the-scenes stuff about TKO from learning them on this podcast with you, Unstoppable. I think the smart idea in this topic is Vince McMahon should buy this company back, because I do believe that the ticket prices for the market will go down. And I think that will solve a lot of the problems here, because talking about them outpricing everybody, and that there are people boycotting WWE for it. And TKO, their reactions to it have been questionable at best to downright idiotic. Now, as someone who I wasn't like the biggest fan of the Vince McMahon era in WWE. There were some examples, like you had Constable Corbin, you've had Corbin, Ziggler, and I forgot who else was involved, but they poured dog food on Roman Reigns. Yep. I forgot. Was it Bobby? Oh yeah, Bobby Roode. I think it was Bobby Roode. Anyways, and there are many examples of, you got the dog food, you got people not getting their fair push when Vince McMahon instead would go for his favorites. Sounds a lot like what Tony Khan's doing right now, to be honest. Basically, if you weren't liked by Vince McMahon, you weren't getting anything. That being said, fast forward to 2026, oh my god, if you're not TKO's favorites, you're not getting any time. If you aren't glazing TKO, they downright hate you. They'll increase the ticket prices for everyone, pushing everyone to boycott going to WWE shows until they lower the prices. With Vince McMahon at the helm, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think there's anything Vince McMahon done negatively that I don't think was done even worse by TKO. So, I think Vince McMahon should buy it. I think it would fix a lot of the company's issues as long as he doesn't force himself into getting too much power.
Right.
That's going to be the flip side of this. If Vince McMahon does buy WWE, he should stay an owner and not be on screen and not get as much power over creative, and leave all that to Triple H and leave all that to Nick Khan and whoever is doing the storyboards.
Now, do you think Vince McMahon regretted on giving it to TKO?
I think he did. I think he did because I can't remember where I saw this, but I think it said that Vince McMahon regrets the entire sale to TKO. I think he said it was a mistake giving it to TKO because they've been fucking everything up, and he's not a fan of how they went about certain things. And it's very rare that I'm giving Vince his flowers. But I will say that Vince McMahon should buy WWE back. Do I think he's going to? No, because I think however much that Vince McMahon and the Saudi Arabian fund put up for him, I think TKO is going to find a bigger offer. I think it's just going to be a back and forth stalemate for the foreseeable future. And I think because Vince McMahon has been blacklisted by the TKO group, I think they'll block Vince's sale for the company because they'll just offer more money. And then they'll go with that one. And it's just, I just think the whole thing's messed up. And do I like it that Vince McMahon is potentially buying WWE? No, I do not. But I think Vince McMahon finally is the lesser of two evils right now. That's my stance on this.
Let us know in the comments below what do you guys think about this. Do you guys want Vince McMahon back? Do you hope he takes charge of WWE again? Or what? Let us know in the comments below.